Bowdon County Co-op Committee meeting. Welcome. We are taking minutes here today, and for the historical record of this, I'm recording here at this time. We have our agenda. Everyone should have something at their table. We have some 12, 13 copies. Our first agenda here item is minutes from the fall of 2024, September 25th. Any discussion items? It's not like a regular board meeting, but it's a committee meeting for discussion. And so this was the historical record that I found when I came into office here at the end of July, and I was working with Mr. Prom and trying to find a date here for this meeting here in the fall.
We don't have to make motions on it, do we? We just see them. It's not.
Any discussion now on the minutes? Anything that looks unusual?
I think the minutes are fine. I just wanted, if anybody's new, just to clarify, we did talk about changing the split there, but it can't happen unless both districts vote and both vote the same. It never happens. So even though they're in the minutes and they're fine to keep it in here that way, it's still sitting in the 64. I just, for everybody who doesn't know.
Anything else then on the minutes? All right, moving on. North Dakota High School Activities Association updates. Mr. Prom, do you have anything to share on any updates?
Not a lot. 2 weeks ago, they had just a Northeast region meeting, and the representative was there. I think they all run since last year when I was in April and at the state meeting, and every time I see them, less state people want to talk to me because they know they're complaining about the co-op, or the classification. And especially now since they grew up part of it, and that was a big discussion at this meeting, the PowerPoints. They're making it now over a 6-year period, which means that if you win and your points go up over 6 years, then you'll get moved up, which very rare is that going to happen. And, it's usually kind of like happened with Westall. You get a couple good grades, they come through, you win or you're up there a ways, and then it's gone. And I have never been opposed to teams that always win. If they keep on winning, beat them. Like, figure out a way to beat them. And if they can keep it going for 4, 5, 6 years, well, that's a good program. Figure out what they're doing right and you're doing wrong. But most of the time, after a couple of years, another team comes in, and so I've never been opposed to that. I am opposed to the fact that the numbers are 162.5 to 599. That is too big of a gap. It just nobody really cared. I mean, everybody in the room, all the other ADs, when I would get on my soapbox, nobody cared until I told them that girls basketball, going forward, we may not be able to field a team because our girls they're not wanting to go get beat by 50 points. And I said, we may have to play a JV schedule. Pretty soon you can see everybody down looking at their schedules and seeing when they play us and kind of worried about that. But, I said, you are penalizing 2 schools that have 3 kids, freshman through senior, that are all for basketball at Fessenden that are co-op. And so now you're going to penalize 2 schools because of that. I said, the numbers, it shouldn't matter. It's got to figure out that, and you gotta, you know, adjust this. So that's been my talk every time I see those people. January, I believe, I haven't got the for sure date yet. There's gonna be a time we can formally appeal it, so. 'Cause I know that'll keep everybody informed. The only other update was then ejection policy. Last year it was over 2 full weeks minimum. Now they've made it 2 games for that sport that person is ejected in. So if you have a son in football and a daughter in volleyball, apparently you can go to volleyball, you get ejected in football, you can go to the volleyball game, but you can't go to the next football game. It's a little confusing. Hopefully it's nothing we are going to have after.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is the Harvey-Wells County Co-op Financials. Co-op agreement. Harvey is the fiscal agent. And, do you have anything to share on the financials from the 24-25 season?
I don't know unless you guys have a question. I think everything is Michelle and I kind of bumped it back and forth and we got everything figured out and we got approved by the board and we moved forward for this year. I don't think we have any discrepancies, do you, Michelle?
Nope.
The one thing I do want to bring up, and I don't know if you have it on here, is the way that we pay our bus drivers. I've talked to Mike about it, I've talked to different people about it, and we pay our bus drivers, if they're coaches, they get paid mileage. They don't get paid an hourly rate, a sick time. If they're not coaches, they get paid a sick time plus an hourly rate. Fessenden Bowdon only pays an hourly rate. I feel for the sake of us both being on the same page, and if we have a driver who maybe drives sometimes for Fessenden and sometimes for Harvey, they're not getting paid the same and they're going, why? And I think we need to be on the same page as far as our bus drivers and how we pay them.
I think that conversation was we were paying $1.75 for the use of our vehicles, and then this was just the driving time.
Yep.
And so.
We still pay the
pay our
$1.75 for the bus being used, that's over and above. But we're talking just our driver's pay.
Yeah, basically the drivers are getting paid 50 cents a mile to drive the bus, and then $10 an hour to sit during games.
Yeah.
Where the state, the state rate is 78, so it kind of works out about 54.
Explain to me how you guys do it and how you do it, okay?
So we, and Mike can correct me if I'm wrong, but we pay our coaches mileage, but they don't get paid any sit time because they're already being paid a contract to be a coach. So they're gonna be there regardless. You guys pay an hourly rate for the bus drivers.
Just for the
Just for
driving.
driving.
Just for the driving part of it.
Not for city, not for
Coaches.
coaches.
Coaches only get paid for driving.
Okay.
But if we have to hire our bus driver, then they get sit time. So if Mr. Austin, for example, is our head bus driver, and he would drive to an activity, he would get paid for driving plus sitting time. Coaches would only get paid for driving by the hour, by how far. So let's say it's rugby, it's only 45 minutes, so it's an hour and a half, and you get paid for an hour and a half time.
And we
Of
drive
driving.
weekly by the mileage, so that's the difference.
For hourly rate.
Our hourly rate for drivers this year is $17 an hour.
And what's ours like, for mileage wise?
Well, from Harvey to Rugby, I guess we must be paying $45 round trip.
So it's pretty much, I mean, it's significantly different.
Well,
And it just affects the ones that are coaching.
yeah. But if they're getting $17 on an hour and a half, well, yes, yeah. I mean, then you're pretty much at least 2 hours, no more, maybe 2.5
From here, yeah.
from here. And then it's, comes out pretty close, but, I mean, I don't know if we have too many crossing over.
Yeah, rugby is 2.5.
That's what we pay on.
Yeah, it would be, mileage and then at 55 miles an hour.
I know when we get people that aren't involved, they're just driving,
It's 43.75.
yeah, so we're,
Then $1.25.
yeah.
I
And-
think it was a bigger deal when the wages were lower. Now that the wages came up, it's probably more.
Yeah, we increased our, bus driving which is this year. And sick time an hour. So
Yeah, well,
that's-
that makes a good, yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
It's different, but at the end of the day, it's close.
I think so,
Yeah, I didn't realize that you guys went
yeah.
that much.
We've been gradually upping it the last 2 years.
So the system's working as long as the business managers are communicating and know where each side is coming from.
We're talking about financials. What's the point of having this co-op meeting and board if we vote on something and we pass it, but then we don't go by it financially? Last we voted on was 31% to 69%, and then we split pay 40-60.
The only way it goes through is that then you have to go back and the boards have to agree. Because the co-op agreement says that both sides have to agree before it can take effect. And I don't think either school district, the school boards then need to vote on it. And then it can go into the agreement. And I don't think that happened on either side last year.
Yeah, I think we have to.
That's what the co-op agreement says. It has to be voted on at a board meeting and both districts have to agree in order for something to be changed anything in the co-op agreement.
Could we put it on both of the agendas for this, we'll just put it on the agenda for the next meeting and then,
For the October meeting, that needs to come up.
so, if the president can put it on there, it's already in there. Then it would be, but then I suppose it wouldn't go into effect until next school year. I mean, I don't know what we want.
No,
Backwards.
it's not what we don't want to switch.
So I mean, so when we put it on the agenda, I mean, we would put it in effect for 26, 27.
I suppose.
And then that would kind of tie in with number 5 with the school enrollment.
Yeah,
We have to find out what it.
yeah.
One.
712, one.
Yeah.
Is that for this year?
Yeah.
26?
Let me just get an idea of what we're talking
Yep.
about.
7 through 12 is one of these?
I think so. I think we were 130, our 7th and 8th grade was big. I think we were 134. and
197 is what our second result is. We're about right around 127 and that's 12.
Ours is 91.
7-12?
What were we at, George?
197.
So it's pretty
Stays about the same, but at least we'll have something.
Well, yeah, I think if both schools would be willing to put it on their agendas and let the boards decide what they want to do. And ratify it.
We want to go back up to number 5 on the agenda, under the or number 4, anything on contracts or personnel. It's assigned, those coaches here for the fall, and those contracts have been returned, from our end.
Yeah.
Did you get a copy of those, Mike?
I did.
Okay, good.
And I'm just trying to think, was Dale on that? The HWC was on yours.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got those. Yeah.
Are all the,
The only going forward that I know of this time, the only thing we're in need of is an assistant boys basketball coach.
We don't have one for golf.
Or golf, but we've got some prospects,
Was that girls' basketball?
boys. This year, Kobe, with him, doing his classic schooling, he told me he just didn't have enough time.
Considering you do that, and that's good of you.
Yeah.
Bobby?
anything else on,
That's that down. Yeah.
anything else on contracts or personnel?
Thank you.
Number 6 here, activity participant numbers. We have a wide variety of students here for football, grade 7 through 12, 7 through 12 volleyball.
Yeah, seventh and eighth football, I believe, was 26. And 9-12 football is 36 maybe. And then, volleyball is, 35 and 33 or something, 35 junior high, 33. And,
So, no junior high volleyball kind of slow down.
well, last week was really good. Yeah, last week.
Well, what are you supposed to do?
That's why,
There's
people maybe
games
say I
after
don't
this
care, but I don't respond to white noise. I just don't. And if a person sends it to me, I have talked to a couple, and I said, if the coach is unmoral or unethical, I will discuss, but if the coach has playing time, I don't go to the practices. I don't know. And there's a lot of idle chatter, good and bad, about Dale. However, when we had the junior high in the elementary school in Hardin practicing sideways, the court wasn't the size. Dale took it upon himself and offered to come from Bowdon to Hardin and get a bus to all the girls at Fessenden so they could practice on both sides court. I have a hard time taking it. And when you have that many girls, so Kelly heard of a place, so I reached out to him, Dave Nelson over in Hillsborough. And they had that problem. And what they've done, more so in the varsity, junior high, they let it play through and they try to find matches. However, it's not very easy when Amherst and Steele don't have enough, and they just barely have enough for one match. And we got lucky going to Carrington and playing a lot of games Saturday with these kids. But what these other schools have done is taken an A, B, and a C team in their varsity, 8 on a team. The 4th team is a practice team, and they practice against the C, and they have an opportunity to move up. And if somebody's hurt, they move somebody up or whatever. And that way those girls that are on the practice team still get coaching. They're not cut. They still get some coaching, and it makes it maybe not as painful. And I don't think it's And we all probably know it's probably not as painful for the kids as it is the parents.
Well, I mean, it's nothing that I don't think we could have done, but I mean, to me, it seems like we could have found an assistant for Dale, but they, those coaches, we all know coaches don't just show up, but it's pretty difficult for one coach in any sport to have an effective practice with that. And I know that some parents have helped.
Yeah.
But
that's from what I can tell.
yeah, but if we could have found a assistant.
Right.
See, it was about a week before the season started, when my head coach called me and said, I've been in all year and all summer, and I'm getting married, I just can't do it this fall. So now what? And I'm like, well, Dale was never really the coach. And so he stepped up to do it. That being said, and I don't know if we can do it in this group, or how we can do it, but, and he's not doing it for the money. But we're budgeted for, a first and two coaches. And I would like to at least pay him a coach and a half salary.
I feel like we have a line item for 7th and 8th grade coach combined. I'm pretty sure.
I think maybe we do.
That seems reasonable to me. Obviously, it's not 2 salaries combined into one,
Right.
but it's more than what.
More than the same one.
He's kind of going above and beyond that in there, right?
I feel he is. He really does care. And I went against my better judgment last 2 Saturdays ago. And when it was really getting crazy, and I called him and I said, I'm going to ask you to do this. And I asked him to, we knew 2 games in a row we were playing, the other teams, and they told me that we do not have a very good team. So I asked him to play those girls that weren't getting playing time, to play them. And he's a true coach. He's like, well, my girls that work hard are not going to get the playing time, so now I'm hurting them. Well, but he did it, and they got the playing time. And that week, we had an awful lot of games. Plus, then this week they'll play a lot, so it worked out. But I mean, people are like, well, why didn't you schedule them? Well, you don't know it, and then when you find out how many you have and you try to schedule, a lot of these teams do not have kids, some do. So I think we weathered that storm. I don't know. That's pretty good shot taken, but that's part of the course.
So I don't know if going forward, because next year we'll probably have the same numbers again, I think, because I think the 6th grade class, the whole school is pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be the same. And
If we could somehow find a regular assistant, that would really be helpful. I couldn't imagine trying to coach 30 junior high kids in any sport by myself.
Numbers could go down, but we offer other fall sports.
well, you're right. If we get to golf, I mean, you're probably going to get a dozen maybe between the 2 schools that might, look at that. I don't know.
Like you said, sometimes you might have 37 now, 7, 8, wait. It seems like they get to be a freshman in a lot of those.
Well, that's the way to.
Yeah.
Right.
Still gotta get all
Oh, you bet, you
chance.
have to give them a chance, right?
Yeah.
It's-
And knowing this now, if we can get even parents that, there's so much that a person doesn't know. I've been going to volleyball. I have 2 daughters that played all the way through. I just learned that you can only have 15 substitutions in a match. And I had a parent tell me, what's so hard about it? Just after every score, put somebody in. Well, it would be illegal. You couldn't. So, if we get some parents that know what's going on, maybe we can even get, even if it's a jamboree on a weekend, at either location and get these kids some playing time. I'm all for doing something now that we know we're not big numbers.
When it comes to sports, there's no such thing as fair. And, I mean, if that were the case, Michael would have 6'4", could have played tight end. But, you know, so there's, I mean, I think kids can grasp that faster than some other people can, okay? But it's just not fair. I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't fair.
Well, and a lot of these kids, you know, it's a social time, they can be out and do that. But then they realize going forward, I mean, gosh, what did we have this year? 17 maybe numbers for one-act play. I mean, there's so many things for kids, and last year, I think you guys maybe sent 2, and now we're way up in that, and I don't even know how you do one-act play with that many kids either. So, yeah. So the numbers, these kids, and there's so many kids with the FFA and FCCLA, just different things for them to be involved in that. Maybe they're not all athletes, but they'll shine in other areas.
Well, and then the other thing that some parents and maybe some players or students don't understand is when you're comparing playing high school sport to being part of a club, they're not the same. I mean, it's not. Okay, playing sports is not supposed to be fun. Okay, the byproduct of all the stuff you do can be fun, but the goal isn't just run around and have fun. So, I mean, there's a lot of investment that you have to put in.
And that's the thing, the junior high aspect has changed. Isn't everybody supposed to be out having fun? Well, it's changed so much. So many parents are sending kids 5th and 6th grade off to clubs.
Maybe 5th and 6th grade.
You know, it's more competitive. You know, we're starting to see it a little bit, I think, in our group with our volleyball. You know, we move up to Class A. We're 2-0 so far in the region, which is nice, and we're competitive. We have a good product. We have a lot of young potential. Last night was kind of obvious. We had the starters, or the older ones having problems, the young ones coming in and got us back in the game. So I think there's some opportunities for the co-op. I really do. I think
All right, number 7 on your agenda, game and practice schedules. We run several shuttles a day out of Fessenden here, head up to Harvey, find drivers as best we can. We have volleyball, actually, Mike shared earlier, going up to Harvey first, and then bringing the Harvey girls down so they can have a volleyball practice in Fessenden Bowdon Gymnasium. It's a daily challenge to make sure we have coverage and things are moving and working where they're supposed to. Communication with Mike through email, through text to try to adjust this travel schedule and check your daily announcements. It's been working. We're day 20 of our school operation and halfway through our fall season.
Got a long way to go yet.
That's what I was gonna say, in the past years, people complain of, oh, there's no practice here, I've heard 0 practice.
Yeah, you know, the way it's worked out, I mean, it's, you know, like, at one time there used to be, like, volleyball would come back, you know, night before we play, we just can't with junior high being over here. It's just the way it is. Varsity will be in Harvey, junior high will be in Fresno. That's the way it is. When it comes to basketball, boys and girls will just switch back and forth every week. That should work. Wrestling takes care of itself. You know, we do have a fun thing coming up in wrestling in February. We have a wrestling match with Northern Lights, and that'll be followed by a boys varsity basketball game. So that's gonna be kinda nice and fun to.
On the same day or
Same night, same day, same night, yeah, double header. Yeah.
We're doing piano solo there?
Is that in Fessenden or Harvey, like,
That's in Harley, and that's. That's January, January 29th. Yeah.
Probably was at,
We're gonna do a 3:30 C-SWAT and JV at the DM Hanson.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be, I mean, we had a lot of, a few basketball parents who saying, gosh, I'd like to get to a wrestling match, and all this and that, so, finally, we were able to work something with Northern Lights that had both nights open.
Oh, so we're doing their school also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way their families can come down and see both. Like the hard thing that happens is our gym space. When you've got, if wrestling takes the gym, somebody's gotta be on the road because we only have one other gym for our varsity practices. And then you've got junior high you throw in there as well, so. Trying something different to give people a chance to come out and see different things. I hope it goes well. Northern Lights is excited, we're excited, so.
And, that's back on participant numbers. We're hoping, that the boys basketball, that we can have enough to play some C-SWAT games, that we'll have enough kids. Those numbers will be down, hopefully we can get that turned to something a little bit more. Wrestling numbers are nice, they're up, they're good. We've got kids usually there. Girls basketball is really down. And baseball and softball look to be pretty good again. Track might do it. I can see track this year being less.
Smaller golf numbers are pretty much.
Yeah, golfers are baseball is kind of, seems like that's getting some kids and.
Who's that coaches for track again, or do you not have it?
Well, Caleb and, Chris Stoops. She has, I think she will, she didn't say.
All right, moving on to number 8, communication methods. We utilize in our school email, Facebook, our daily announcements, webpage. Any changes, we can use the instant alert system through Frill Share. Try to just communicate as best we can. Any changes, destinations, lead times, our travel schedule is posted on our website. I update that daily. It goes out till about the end of November. And we just make those changes as far as departure time. There are some distant places for, the kids are getting back at midnight or things like that, or we're going to have to run a return shuttle on a few of those. I have a daughter that will be involved in that, and I can accommodate that for President Bowdon. Just for falling off some of those late nights when they're traveling way up north or way out west. We also like on the communication methods that we need to share.
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, that volleyball game was a test of, I think, our communicating two schools. It pulled that baby off in about a half hour. We had it all set, once Bowler told me, I think we can get Fessenden, well, I kind of jumped the gun. I just said, yeah, they'll have it. We're moving it, and he did. So, that really worked out well. Velva, I let Larry know right away about the same time. Because you know, our options, I mean, if we wouldn't get power here, we were gonna have to send our officials to Bell. And they were gonna have to move some things around, they had some, 5th and 6th grade stuff going on with them, and it was just, it worked out great, absolutely.
Was there any extra cost in moving that for the officials, now that you say that? Because I know you guys usually.
No, you know, it was, Chrissy's also. And so, you know, the checks were made, I just left it because we were paying to come to Harvey, they're coming out that was late. So
Okay, so maybe it was a little.
they got a little extra.
Yeah.
So,
Just curious.
yeah, so no.
Very
we didn't-
accommodating, I talked to those ladies and they were very, very
Yeah,
impressed.
yeah, so they, you know, I think so far, you know, our student body has been good, exciting, and engaging at you know, football and volleyball. Boys, you gotta kind of keep reminding them, take a step back, take a step back. For the most part, they're pretty good. You know, when I talk to the referees before the game, I can't tell them that. You know, student body's right here, if they get, you know, too far, give us a chance to get them back. If you just say anything, one of us is around there. You just say anything, we'll keep them back. If not, and they're like, no, they like it. They say it helps the match move better when people are involved.
Our last agenda item here is new business.
We have this year softball will be getting new uniforms. We've done football, wrestling, and volleyball. I'm not sure if baseball's into that or not. I know it's softball and, in fact, Justin was meeting with a rep today on normal pricing. We will probably be in that $6,000 range to outfit softball. You know, they usually go for 5 years, so that's not bad. While we're getting them better pricing, you know, Kelly, we look more so than just standard Nike or Under Armour. And in football, 2 years ago, BSN came out with their own label and their own brand. Well, they shot us their first quote for Nike. It was $31,000. And so I said, you know, we're gonna keep going. He says, well, I wanted to give you that quote because we're working on one. We may have one team in the state take our uniforms, but we'd like you guys to look at it. They brought them down, we showed them to the kids, they loved them. Because we were one of the first, then Devil's Lake went and then Rugby, so what we were top. We got those uniforms for $14,000. I mean, that was just a stupid difference in price. And last year we shot pretty hard for wrestling, but we didn't go with BSN. We had a different other company that gave us, even beat BSN's price. And we were happy, and so we're not just going out buying uniforms without really pushing back on first bids, you know. So, but I want you guys to be aware that happens this year and possibly in baseball. I'm not 100% sure I have to look into that.
Anything else for new business?
The other thing that we had talked a little bit about last year, and I know it didn't happen, is that trying to maybe get both districts as far as if someone doesn't meet academic standards or someone gets caught drinking or whatever or something, our timelines, I think we talked about last year, maybe meeting again and trying to get them a little bit more in line, but we never did get around to it.
Well, I think we talked about going through the co-op handbook.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we did meet again, we really need to do a better job of that this year, of having our. at
Not
least-
just having one,
Yeah,
yeah.
we should have, if we could have quarterly, I think that'd be beneficial for our group. Because that would be probably the other thing to do, is maybe look at that handbook and, get that.
I printed out the sheet first.
I know we talked about it last year, but Aaron, do you remember, did we change after we talked about that last year?
Change the handbook.
Well, eligibility stuff, I remember we talked about it.
Our eligibility stuff has been the same for a couple of years, but when it comes, the discussion at this time last year was just like our expectation in comparison to high school activities association. So if I remember correctly, the example was if a student gets a minor on the 10th of June, their 6 weeks is up before the season starts, and we had gone kind of back and forth a little bit about what our expectation is for the first few weeks of practice and or games. I think that is something we need to discuss at our next meeting, simply because in my opinion, there needs to be a common expectation in our co-op.
I think we've been talking about that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But,
We
and
just
that
haven't
was,
got back to it.
if my memory serves me correctly, we had intended to talk about that in our November meeting that never took place, right?
They, and that is a good point, that we, knock on wood, we have done 4 years we had 2 within a week, but, it happened in the summer. First couple weeks of volleyball is all I had. But,
State fair.
Gets
them every time.
Yeah, and, so that's been really good. And that was brought up again, I'm sorry, I forgot about that at the high school activities update. High school activities is standing pat on the last day of May until the first, till football practice starts, that there are 0, they're saying that there's no suspensions. And that's, because I know when that happened with our 2 girls, I called them and they said, well, that's up to you guys. They said, we wouldn't suspend them at all. So we have to, and what happened then is we just took 6 weeks from that point. 6 weeks a day were notified to, and the second one is maybe what, 8 something, and then the third one is a year. If you get to the third one with the same kid, athletics is probably not the issue.
But I think that's something we're discussing. I think we should have a meeting late October, early November, and then we'll start out the second quarter. Because when we had those meetings, it wasn't always this full group, was it?
I think sometimes you guys had admin.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, we had a pretty long discussion.
Yeah.
About it, and but that's sort of.
Wasn't there a second admin one last spring?
Well, we did that one where we discussed Maddox and Andrews Great Co-op.
I think that was not long after, because we had talked about it here in September, and I think you guys did do that as to how much that we charged them.
How much
But I
we
think after
charged
that,
them.
it never.
Yeah, but
I would agree that whatever is decided, we need to have some sort of formal ratification of it, just so when it does if it does happen. It's not just like, well, we think we should do it this way.
right. Is there like,
Because that was the problem, I think that's when that happened,
yep,
with those two.
yep. Yeah, because I believe Fessenden voting policy will start the activity, and we were to start the notification. Is that or something? Does anybody, I mean, as far as a meeting in November, is like November 12th, Wednesday?
That's when I was looking at that. We'll have it in Harvey this time.
Oh, right here, every time.
I don't know where we have it, with a big group.
We've got One place we put it at the admin building.
There won't be any breakfast burritos there.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't hear this closer to my house anyway, so I don't care.
We used to go back and forth there.
Yeah.
but-
There's 13 in there.
Breakfast is on you, you're making it, right?
Yeah,
We have a kitchen.
we do have a kitchen there.
Well, that's the case, we just have it here.
It don't matter to me, I can just throw that out.
Yeah, we used to always go back.
Since 8:45 over there.
But that's enough.
Yeah.
We get in the office.
Regional starts, regional even all starts. That's it.
On Monday or Wednesday, that's for me.
November 13th.
That's Thursday.
What's
Yeah.
it, what day?
November 13th, a regional starts that day and then, that's in the afternoon, so. What date is it?
What
Well, I
time?
think it's also, I think
We have a school board meeting on the 12th.
Oh, you guys have it in the morning.
Yeah.
the 12th must be a Tuesday.
I'd say because of the Veterans Day, it's on a Tuesday, and there's no school on Monday and Tuesday, and
We can just roll right into this after.
If there is a meeting.
it's true. Yeah, for sure.
We maybe would have to push this back, but till like 9.
No.
Good for you guys.
I would say there's flexibility in the start time.
Yeah.
But we could do both, I mean, we could do longer, but it's easier.
Yeah,
Well,
it's really great for us. Stay in school like 37 seconds.
Well, and then since, I mean, yes, we should be back and forth, but you know what, for this case, we should
Yeah.
come here.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna be doing back to back, we don't need you to get up and to drive to, we can, the next one can be. At least that's, I think we should, because I don't want you guys to be running around. I'm okay with that, if that works for you guys.
So 8:45 or 9 o'clock.
8:45 on the 12th.
Is that gonna be too soon?
Oh, no,
Oh,
no,
that's
it should be
Start
done
at
by
7.
then.
Yeah,
it should be
start
done.
at 7.
Depending on what we're doing.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
If you're again, you get thrown out pretty quick.
And I will
Cut it off.
Oh, you know, we do have.
Yeah, but then we don't really need it.
That's what happened. People that need to show up that were-
So at that meeting, I would imagine administration will get her together and get a combined policy reminders and stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be a good.
I think that's gonna be our big ticket agenda.
Yeah, probably just that's, yeah, unless you have something else.
So, but then, and then we'll have the October meetings for both of the passes, so either both school boards will vote it for the new arrangement or.
So can we get a copy of each one of them so we can kind of study up on that ahead of time and be like, hey, this is a good idea. This is a good idea.
Yeah.
Would be in each school's handbook.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we went back to our, not for activities. I believe.
Oh,
So, our policy is.
Yeah, you can email.
Let me go back to the date then, so it's November 12th, and the time, we would say 8:45 a.m. Works for,
Yeah, that'll
well, that way you guys only have to come in once.
You said it saves district 37 cents.
I have yet to send it to school in like 5 years, so.
anything else? Hearing none, I declare the meeting adjourned.
consider.